When we heal, we upset the apple cart, and that is going to bring backlash in our lives. When we change, the people in our lives have change back attacks. And I love that term because it's actually that. The backlash is a change back attack. Hey everybody. A lot of us have heard recently people talk about ego death, right? It's usually associated with psilocybin, ayahuasca, and plant medicine journeys, and how altered states you can actually witness the death of your ego. Not that it doesn't come back when you wake up, but you can still witness it and be shown the truth of who you are. Well, those are pretty big and dramatic ego deaths. But there are some smaller ones that occur in our lives when we do the shadow work, the inner child work. So I'll talk a little bit more about that. But after that, I'm going to talk about the backlash of ego death, because there's a backlash and it's not always something that we expect when we do the inner work. The inner child work that is there to excavate all the protective patterns and coping mechanisms that were put in place when we were really young in order to get what we wanted, to protect ourselves from parents, from being yelled at, being hit, being bullied, not being seen, being unloved, being abandoned, whatever traumatic and actually not so traumatic events. That's what our young child does. It builds patterns that lead to a lot of codependencies in relationships or in family dynamics. And I'm realizing big time that what I called my personality, is more of a bundle of patterns on two legs that I call who I am. Some examples of those patterns are like if you're in a state where you feel that you're running out of money, and then a behavior from childhood could be, if something's going on, I'm going to push and focus so that I'm worthy in the eyes of somebody. And then your motivation, like I talked in another video, comes from proving that and protecting yourself so that you get what you need. Another one is coming from a pattern of not being seen and developing the habit of explaining and wanting people to see your point of view and wanting people to acknowledge and just see you and value you and agree with you. Another one is if there's a problem that shows up in your life, you go into doer mode. There's a problem. If I do more, this is going to go away and things are going to be okay. I'm going to avoid my parents divorcing. I'm going to avoid whatever it is that you were trying to solve as a child. Another one is if there's an issue, a problem in your life, you jump into fixing thinking. All these mechanisms have been put in place to avoid looking at what the emotion was that you didn't want to feel as a child. You were afraid, you felt abandoned, you felt unloved, you felt unseen, you felt in danger, unsafe, whatever it was. So whenever as an adult we get into these reactive patterns, it is always because still after decades trying to avoid feeling those feelings that were there and that our little 5-year-old put in place because those feelings were too much and they couldn't be felt. So the point I want to make about the ego death here is that when we do the inner child work and we heal these things, it is the death of the energy that existed in us that we identified with, and that is also like our ego. So when you do the work and you heal something, there is an ego death that occurs within you. And it's something that we have to feel and we have to accept and understand that it's part of doing the work. Doing the work is not just healing and saying, I saw it, I'm healed. Once they are dissolved and not part of you anymore, then you have to say goodbye to a part of you that you identified as you for pretty much your entire life. So the interesting part is the grieving process of the healing and acknowledging, saying goodbye to kind of a good friend that took care of you and protected you all your life. And we have to mourn the departure of that energy in us. Hey, If you're getting something out of these videos, it means somebody else could be getting something out of these videos. And the best way to ensure that they see it is subscribe, like, make a comment, and share the video with people you think could use it. And it's also going to help me. So appreciate it. And now about the backlash. When we do this work, we don't do it in a vacuum, right? Mostly it's about how we're relating to other people in a relationship, again, whether it's the family or a partner or friends. And when we heal, we change. And the people that are part of the dynamic that was in place that involved your energy of your inner child pattern interacting with the energy of their inner child pattern, you could say maybe for the conversation, ego to ego, then if you're dissolving that part of you that was part of the dynamic, you are completely taking off the balance that was existing in this relationship. When we heal, we upset the apple cart, and that is going to bring backlash in our lives. I read a book by MARTHA BECK. I forget the name of the book, but I'll put it in the comments below with a link to it. And MARTHA BECK talks about these changes in our lives, and when we change, the people in our lives have change back attacks. And I love that term because it's actually that. The backlash is a change back attack. People that were in that dynamic, that now your change is threatening their status quo and might be a death threat to their part of child or ego that will no longer have a job in your dynamic here. And that is scary because they're going to end up alone, that energying them with no job. And this void is scary because they are identified with that dynamic too. And you're making the choice consciously to heal and to let it go. But if they have not, then they're not going to be happy with what's happening with you. It's like, what did you do with Annie? She used to fall apart, and I was there to gather her up. I could be the savior. Or what did you do with my sister? She used to show up as a victim, and that allowed me to feel superior. That suited me just fine because I liked the role of dealing with a victim because it's my part of the codependency. Or what did you do with my husband? He used to be unreliable, and that allowed me to be in control. I was completely satisfied with this because it filled my need of codependency of being in control. These are all the deaths and all the ways that we can upset the apple cart. And there's always backlash to this. Those are the two sides of codependencies. And if one side falls off, then the other one is kind of left dangling. And it doesn't go over well because we're changing the status quo. They didn't ask for it. And we didn't ask permission. We did this on our own, and all they're left with is their reaction to what's happening. Now, what they do with that is their choice, of course. It always is. Do they do the work? Do they want to go inside, look at what's hidden and what was making them having that flip side to the codependency that you were the other flip side? And that's where the dynamic is, and that's where the change back attacks come from. Well, it can look like unconscious. And there can be all kinds of justification to say, no, you should go back to being like this. This is not going to work out for you. You're going to get lost. And we have to expect that these change back attacks are going to come our way. And it's a difficult thing to deal with, actually, because the healing is still kind of fragile and new. And that part that we're letting go of isn't quite dead yet. And so it can be revived by proper stimulation, if you will. So it's an interesting path to navigate because it has a lot of twists and turns. And the only thing that can keep us on the path that we're on of healing is to keep the awareness of what we're doing, what we are shedding, for what reason, and how much we will be lured by the change back attack offers. I have this analogy that a relationship, whoever it's with, a partner, a parent, a sister, a brother, friend, is like a tango. And the tango is between two patterns, two egos. And, you step on your toes, one doesn't have the right hold, but you keep dancing and this is your tango. And if one day one of the dancers says, now I'm done dancing this way, I'm stepping away, the person that's there that said, wait a minute, I didn't choose this, like I want to keep dancing, they are going to want you back in that dance, because that dance is the identity and the dynamic that existed, and without it, there is a death or a void, and it can be painful. So it's part of the deal. If you're working on your inner child wound, you're doing your shadow work and breaking off codependencies, you have to expect this. Yesterday, I had to listen to some of my own videos to recenter myself and then meditate and things like that, because I got upset. And if you're not doing videos, journal, write the reasons why you're doing this, the progress, the goals, the good feelings that you're already getting out of it. Watching the video where I said I was feeling this new power inside of me, that was a part that I needed to hear again. Like, Annie, you are connecting with something new, a power you don't know, you have never known in you. And I have to find the strength, the divine connection, and the connection with the now and life to keep me on that path and not be tempted just to fall back into the groove of some old existing patterns and codependencies. But it can be hard. It can be challenging. So putting me right back to work. So you see how important you being here with me is to me. I'm not only bringing something to you for your life. Having you here to listen means that I express myself and that I can stay connected to my truth. I help you, you help me. Isn't that a great way to do things in life? That's it for today. I will see you soon. You have a good day. I love you. Glad to be here.